Hi guys, Nathan here, and today I want to take a look back at the Star Wars Battlefront beta, which has just finished, and I want to take a look at the things it did well, and the things it didn't do quite so well. And obviously I want to start off with the good stuff, because I'm that kind of guy. So, starting with the good, it looks and sounds incredible as a game. It really makes you feel like you're in Star Wars. I mean, the graphics were superb. I mean, the rocks on Sullust, the rocks were incredible. I'm not sure they had amazing texture or anything, but they just looked and almost felt right. You could feel the texture of the rock without obviously being able to touch them. And the sounds of the blasters going off around you really add a level of immersion, which feels great. And if you're a Star Wars fan, this game is absolutely right for you and you will love it. It's fantastic. And something I enjoyed as well, as I'm not a massive Star Wars fan, I do enjoy it, but I'm not a fanboy or anything like that. I enjoyed the objective-based modes that they offered. Now, in Walker Assault, you actually found people trying to take down the walkers, which is a complete surprise for me, because generally in these sort of games, you just go around trying to farm for kills, and that's it. I mean, think of COD and Battlefield, and even to some extent, Medal of Honor and other games like that. And Drop Zone as well had the objective-based things. People were running to those pods like their life depended on it. It was incredible. And it really centres the action around one point. So I thought they did that incredibly well, so that people don't just kill farm. Another thing I liked was the power-up system, which gives every player the equal opportunity to get overpowered, as it were. I prefer this because you're not seeing the best players get the best stuff all the time. And that can be a real issue, because it's a situation where the rich get richer. As in, one person gets a lot of kills, therefore they get a power-up, which gives them a chance to get more kills. And you just see this massive skill difference between the worst and the best, where the best are getting 30-to-1 kill-death ratios, and the worst are getting 1 to 30. So it takes that as an issue out of the game, and I really, really enjoyed that. But that sort of brings us round to more of the bad stuff, the skill gap. And I feel like there isn't enough of a skill gap, because it's just a bit too casual for me. And I know that is a criticism a lot of people have levelled at the game, and I can see that it is justified. Personally, the first thing I really didn't like when I got in there was the fact that ADS has no real benefits. Now, in most games, Battlefield 4, Call of Duty, whatever, Medal of Honor, yes, you will get some kind of accuracy benefit for aiming down sights, and I think that's a really good thing, because it means that players who think about what they're doing, who react in the right way, will gain an advantage. In this game, though, that doesn't happen, and it for me is trying to be a bit too much of a run and gun game, and I wanted something a bit more tactical when I got into this game. Another thing that contributes to that is the grenade spam. Now, a 9-second cooldown is not enough. If you're a good player and you're staying alive for a long time, you're probably going to have 5 or 6 grenades in your lifespan. And that really encourages you just to throw them in random places and look for the random kills. In Battlefield 4 they had this issue and they took it down to 1 grenade per life. No cooldown, no, nothing like that. I mean, you can still resupply from an ammo box, but it's going to take a long time. And that really encourages people to use them tactically and in the correct situations, and this game doesn't have that. The good thing about it being casual, though, for them at least, is that it will bring a lot of players in. There's a very low entry barrier, and that means more people are going to play the game. There's going to be more servers running, although I'll get on servers in a minute, and that's going to make them a hell of a lot of money. So I can see why they wanted to make it casual, but for me personally, it wasn't necessarily the right way to go. But obviously they don't care about me, specifically they care about the greater numbers of people. Next bad thing I want to talk about is the spawn locations. Now, I have spawned so many times in this game where it's spawn dead, over and over again. And that is a real issue, because it takes away from the fun of the game. There was nothing I could do about any of those situations. I die a lot when there's a lot I could do, because I'm not that good. But in those situations, that is frustrating, because there's no skill or anything I could do to make that situation better. Another issue with the spawns is spawn bombing. It's not as bad as it was in Battlefield, because you only really have one partner, although you can have multiple partners, I understand. Sounds dodgy now I say it. But it doesn't... people aren't spawning all together. But I have still been spawn bombed. Now there should be up on screen now a time when I was spawn bombed and I was shooting at this guy and then another guy just pops out of his backside and I suddenly have 2 targets and 2 threats to deal with. And that causes a major issue because I personally am not a good enough player to do that. A better player may have had more luck in that situation, but I didn't. Now, there is an easy way to solve that. Just don't let people spawn on someone who is in combat or close to danger. Because then it takes away the chance of spawn bombing, and it takes away the whole spawn dead scenario, because you can't spawn in if someone is near you. Now the next thing I want to talk about, rapidly moving on from that, is the lack of a server browser. Now I said to talk about servers before, and now is the time. And to me that is a real misstep. I don't think DICE would do this themselves, knowing they've got Battlelog, which is pretty much dedicated to server browsers. Yes, you can get battle packs in there and all that stuff, but it is mainly about the server browser. So I think this must have been dictated to them in some way by Star Wars, or Disney, isn't it, that have the rights now? But server browsers are key to keep players going back. The reason Battlefield still has a community, for me, is custom servers with custom rules. If you go through Battlefield now, you will see pistol-only servers, knife-only servers, all this kind of stuff, and it makes it more fun. And people will keep going back to servers that they know they're going to have fun on. If there are good admins and they know they're going to have a good time, people will go back and play that server over and over again, and it's an incentive to go and play that game again. So for me, server browsers increase the longevity and give players more choice, and therefore they can only be a good thing. So that's why I don't think DICE would actually take them out themselves. And I'm a little bit annoyed at the lack of a server browser. There was also this whole Star Wars Battlefront is just going to be Star Wars Battlefield criticism leveled at the game before the beta came out. And personally I was like, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I love Battlefield and I like Star Wars, so I like that game set in that universe. And they've gone in completely a different direction. This is very dissimilar to Battlefield. You will not find a lot of the things that you find in Battlefield. We've already talked about it being more casual. I personally would have preferred a game that was closer to Star Wars Battlefield, because then you'd have the skill and all the other things that you find in Battlefield that you love, but with the Star Wars universe that everyone wants to play in. And I think that would have been fantastic. I know a lot of people would have been opposed to that because Battlefield keeps coming out and they're just whoring out the license at that stage to get your money. But I'd have been okay with that. The game as it stands at the moment isn't close enough to that for me. All that having been said though, the game is definitely a lot of fun. And if you love the Star Wars universe, you will love this game. I personally will not pre-order the game, but I will probably buy it pretty soon after launch. And that's because I had fun. It's not everything I wanted it to be, definitely not. It's more of an everyman sort of game. But I still enjoyed every second I played of it. And a lot could still change, you've got to remember that. This is only a beta. Now there have been balance issues, particularly in Walker Assault, with the rebels pretty much always losing. Although I have to say, this is how bad I am, that I played on the Imperial side and still lost that. So yeah, I kind of suck. But the game could still change a lot, and hopefully it will. Hopefully it will become more of the game I want. But even if it doesn't, I'll still have a lot of fun with this game. It's not perfect, for me, certainly, but I still enjoy it a lot, so I probably will pick up this title. And if you're a Star Wars fan, I definitely think you should too. And if you're a shooter fan who just enjoys Star Wars a little bit like me, I think it probably is worth your time. So anyway, I think that's pretty much all I've got to talk about today. I hope you enjoyed this slightly more live feeling that I've been trying out today. I did have to put a couple of cuts in there because my bloody software kept crashing. So maybe there's been some frame drops in the camera, I hope that's not the case. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I'd really appreciate a like underneath or a subscription to the channel. That'd really help me out. And yeah, anyway, thanks for watching guys. I've been Nathan and I'll see you next time.